As We See It by Maurice Brinton. Originally published in 1967 in the journal Solidarity. 1. Throughout the world, the vast majority of people have no control whatsoever over the decisions that most deeply and directly affect their lives. They sell their labor power, while others, who own or control the means of production, accumulate wealth, make the laws, and use the whole machinery of the state to perpetuate and reinforce their privileged position. 2. During the past century, the living standards of working people have improved, but neither these improved living standards, nor the nationalization of the means of production, nor the coming to power of parties claiming to represent the working class, have basically altered the status of the worker. Nor have they given the bulk of mankind much freedom outside of production. East and West, capitalism remains an inhuman type of society, where the vast majority are bossed at work and manipulated in consumption and leisure. Propaganda and policemen, prisons and schools, traditional values and traditional morality all serve to reinforce the power of the few and to convince or coerce the many into acceptance of a brutal, degrading, and irrational system. The quote, communist world is not communist, and the quote, free world is not free. 3. The trade unions and the traditional parties of the left started in business to change all this, but they have come to terms with the existing pattern of exploitation. In fact, they are now essential if exploiting society is to continue working smoothly. The unions act as middlemen in the labor market. The political parties use the struggles and aspirations of the working class for their own ends. The degeneration of working class organizations, itself the result of the failure of the revolutionary movement, has been a major factor in creating working class apathy, which in turn has led to further degeneration of both parties and unions. 4. The trade unions and political parties cannot be formed, quote, captured, or converted into instruments of working class emancipation. We don't call, however, for the proclamation of new unions, which in the conditions of today would suffer a similar fate to the old ones. Nor do we call for militants to tear up their union cards. Our aims are simply that the workers themselves should decide on the objectives of their struggles, and that the control and organization of these struggles should remain firmly in their own hands. The forms which this self-activity of the working class may take will vary considerably from country to country and from industry to industry. Its basic content will not. 5. Socialism is not just the common ownership and control of the means of production and distribution. Socialism means equality, real freedom, reciprocal recognition, and a radical transformation in all human relations. It is man's understanding of his environment and of himself, his domination over his work, and over such social institutions as he may need to create. These are not secondary aspects, which will automatically follow the expropriation of the ruling class. On the contrary, they are essential parts of the whole process of social transformation, for without them, no genuine social transformation will have taken place. A socialist society can therefore only be built from below. Decisions concerning production and work will be taken by workers' councils composed of elected and revocable delegates. Decisions in other areas will be taken on the basis of the widest possible discussion and consultation among the people as a whole. This democratization of society, down to its very roots, is what we mean by, quote, workers' power. 7. Meaningful action for revolutionaries is whatever increases the confidence, the autonomy, the initiative, the participation, the solidarity, the equalitarian tendencies, and the self-activity of the masses, and whatever assists in their demystification. Sterile and harmful action is whatever reinforces the passivity of the masses' apathy, the masses' cynicism, the masses' differentiation through hierarchy, the masses' alienation, their reliance on others to do things for them, and the degree to which they can therefore be manipulated by others, even by those allegedly acting on their behalf. No ruling class in history has ever relinquished 8. No ruling class in history has ever relinquished its power without a struggle, and our present rulers are unlikely to be an exception. Power will only be taken from the rulers through the conscious, autonomous action of the vast majority of the people themselves. The building of socialism will require mass understanding and mass participation. By their rigid hierarchical structure, by their ideas and by their activities, both social democratic and Bolshevik types of organization discourage this kind of understanding and prevent this kind of participation. The idea that socialism can somehow be achieved by an elite party, however, quote, revolutionary, acting, quote, on behalf of the working class, is both absurd and reactionary. 9. We do not accept the view that by itself the working class can only achieve a trade union consciousness. On the contrary, we believe that the working class's conditions of life and the working class's experiences in production constantly drive the working class to adopt priorities and values and to find methods of organization which challenge the established social order and established pattern of thought. These responses are implicitly socialist. On the other hand, the working class is fragmented, dispossessed of the means of communication, and its various sections are at different levels of awareness and consciousness. The task of the revolutionary organization is to help give proletarian consciousness an explicitly socialist content, to give practical assistance to workers in struggle, and to help those in different areas to exchange experiences and link up with one another. We do not see ourselves as yet another leadership, but merely an instrument of working class action. The function of solidarity is to help all those who are in conflict with the present authoritarian social structure, both in industry and in society at large, to generalize their experience, to make a total critique of their condition and of its causes, and to develop the mass revolutionary consciousness necessary if society is to be totally transformed.